So I'm out here just a little bit southwest of runway 1230 at the Edmonton International Airport, where the airport is undertaking a potential project to expand this part to be basically a logistics hub for the region that would be aimed at aligning itself with Canada's defense industry strategy and potentially being part of a military base or augment of current Canadian Armed Force military bases. And I thought I'd just pop out here because they've got about 2,000 acres. And if you do, appreciate this video, please like it, share it with others. I would appreciate it if others like you could find this, just so we can, again, bring Canada together and get to work on some of these big projects that are listed for the development. And organizations, partners, community members had until about, I think it was February 4th, to submit comments on the project. And that's all based on also the environmental impact of it. And I'm not sure where that aspect is going to land, but, if you take a look here to the south, Leduc, County of Leduc, City of Leduc, that's the Bridgeport neighborhood, quite close to the airport, along with, southwest part of Edmonton. So in disaster management, where I look at this type of project, not only from a defense industry benefit and a military benefit, but I look at the disaster risk with this as well, and the security risk of having a logistics hub for the military and for the defense industry so close to the major centers. And whether or not, Edmonton Global, through their work with the Edmonton Regional Defence Alliance, what work have they done to engage the community on the risk? Because now you're not only a target because you're a major international airport, you're now a strategic military target. And, I would just be curious to know what kind of work is being done either by the Edmonton International Airport or the Defense Department, D&D, on whether, what kind of assessment they're doing in terms of that. Because, again, with a logistics hub, you bring in a whole bunch of new hazards and risk to the local region. So that's going to be something that I look deeply into. And then, again, with all of this, what's the indigenous participation in not only the Edmonton Regional Defence Alliance and, the work that they're doing to bring industry and partners and not-for-profits and academia together. So, yeah, I wanted to come out here and get a feel for this place and just see what they're doing. It's quite windy and cold, but there's a lot of land. 2,000 acres is quite a bit, and there is work going on out here. I have no idea if it's related to this project, because that environmental piece is still a little bit undetermined. At last I checked on with Transport Canada's website and the project information. But yeah, this will be something that we keep an eye on for sure, and that HazardScape will be, looking to better understand the risks and what kind of assessment that's doing, and to also try and understand what is how will this add to the resilience of the province, Western Canada, and the region? Because there's having a logistics hub is significant, right? You've got a whole another aspect to having, the ability to bring in goods and products. Will that equate to just being for the North and the defense industry, or is that going to equate into the economy? And the last aspect I'll throw out that I'm still paying attention to, and this is going to be part of it, is, do we have the capacity to take on these big projects, right? There's a lot of questions about whether the Canadian society and the culture is up for the task. There's going to be a lot of work going on under the Canadian Defence Industry Strategy in the $81.8 billion. That means a lot of labor. And I know in the past, Canada's worked hard. I know in the past, I'm going to get out of the wind here a little bit. Just in the past, we're a hard-working country and we're known for our hard work. But, those past, post World War I, World War II developments relied a lot on immigrant work, which obviously we know Alberta is, has some issue with. But take those off. We had a lot of immigration from China, Ukraine, Italy, Scandinavia, and though the people that came over there were basically coming from nothing and wanted employment, wanted to build a life here. And, are we going to have that opportunity? And can the Canadian people as a culture and as a society come together to take on the roles and the jobs that are needed to get all these big infrastructure projects done? So again, that's another area that I'm looking at and trying to, get different opinion and feedback. So if you have thoughts on that, or if there's research out there, please direct me. But yeah, these are all sort of connected pieces where hazardscape's involved, and we'll be discussing as we go forward. Take care.